go. You want to tell them why you picked this title? Well, where you're going with this, Sandy?
You've always had the power to go back home, and those shoes are there because of Reverend Kathy and her Wizard of Oz. She added that to my title because my home was more of a return to the home screen of your phone or your computer and the digital access, and as soon as Kathy saw it, she's like, oh, no, that's Dorothy. And so...
At the end, right? And Glenda says, you've always had the power to go back home. Where? I did? It's in your shoes. Faith.
So today we're going to actually talk about Principles 3 and 4, which I'll get to in just a minute, but we're talking about how these give us the power to return back home to our self, it's the truth of who we are, and how it came about is this feeling of having all of these things, and Kathy has had a really busy week, and I have had a really busy week, and have you ever felt like you just have a million tabs open in your brain? Like instead of your computer?
Tabs on a computer?
If you go to the first slide, I have too many tabs open in my brain. 5 of them are not responding. I just accidentally closed one I've been meaning to read for the last 2 years. There's a GIF playing, endless loop, and where is that music coming from?
My God, has anybody had that last one? I'm in my car and all of a sudden it's playing music and I'm like, I didn't hit that. Oh.
And it kind of feels like this next slide. So we had a little language to it, but doesn't it feel just like that?
To that? Come on, Don Meyer. I know you're multitasking king over there too. We all get in this, don't we?
And it might look like this, but it could be other things. So maybe for you, it's not constantly doing. Maybe it's just the constant thoughts that are taking up those tabs. And it has nothing to do with the fact that you're just doing a million things. You're just thinking about a million different things and feeling a million different things, and it has the exact same effect. Whether it's what you're doing or what you're feeling, it's the same thing.
Very often this is me. And Michael will say to me, because I'm like, okay, I need to go here, and I need to make this appointment. I got to make these 3 calls. I got to go visit somebody, and I'm running around the house like this. And he's like, you're swirling. Calm down. Sit down. Get a piece of paper and write it down. Because as long as I keep those tabs going in my head, I can't see, what is it, the tree through the forest or forest through the tree, whatever it is. I can't. I'm like, I'm ramping up. As soon as I write it down, that is me doing away with some of the tabs. I'm closing some of them because it's right there now. I'm okay.
And I tend to navigate all of the busyness okay, but it's the feelings about the busyness that tend to lock up my computer. It's all of what I'm feeling about what I'm doing, or what I'm feeling about what I'm feeling, which gets really deep and crazy. And so today we're going to talk about, so what puts all those tabs open in the first place? And then what can we do about them? So why are they all open in the first place? And what can we do? And we're going to be touching on Principles 3 and 4, so if you can show that next slide. Last week we did God is and I am. God is everywhere present. Everything that is available in God is available in me. And in Principle 3, our thoughts help us create our life experiences. And Principle 4, through prayer and meditation, we align with, you could spell God with 1, 2, or 2 O's. I align with good, or I align with God, and bring forth the good, or bring forth the God in my life, in our life. So whether you spell that with 1 or 2 O's, it's all the same.
Can we go back one slide, Kath, please? Oh, we didn't have, never mind. Principle 1 and 2, yeah. I just want you, if you're like, what's she talking about? Last week's talk was focused on Unity's Principle 1 and 2. You can go to YouTube and listen to that talk, because you've got to do Principle 1 and 2 in order to get the 3 and 4. True?
And we'll be arriving back to those later on in the talk. And so it's all kind of connected. So what happens to get all those tabs open in the first place? It has something to do with our consciousness. And I know the word consciousness is a new buzzword. It gets thrown around a whole lot today. There's a lot of science around what is consciousness. And so it has taken on completely new verbiage than the old unity or new thought consciousness. So I just kind of want to visit for a moment what we mean in New Thought when we talk about consciousness. On the next slide, what is consciousness? It just shows that consciousness is the sum total of all of our ideas. All of our ideas, our thoughts, and our feelings, and it's how those things affect us. So all of these things can affect us. So if you can look on the picture really quick, it's our thoughts, emotions, our knowledge, our beliefs, our sensations, our expectations. And all of those things create a consciousness because it's an overall, not just one thought, but it's an overall lens through which we see the world, and it's a lens through which we interact and react or respond to the world. So in the next slide, you can see a little bit about what that means. And I know this looks like a lot, and if you want to study it in deep detail, I suggest you take a picture of it, because I'm just going to show you I'm going to talk about the overall flow.
Feel free to get your phone out, zoom in, because this is a lot of key information as to what it is and how it filters through, and just the emotions that involve all that. And there's the difference, right? What have we got there? The red one, Sandy, what does that say?
Well, so if we're in a fear consciousness,
yes,
compared to if we're in spirit consciousness.
Yes. You know, there's that commercial, what is it? I forget who it was for. What's in your wallet?
Capital One, right?
Maybe.
Is that it? I don't know.
Is that who it is?
Is it a Capital One? What's in your wallet?
We're giving a promo there. But maybe we ought to check in and say, what's in my consciousness?
So it's the active lens through which you meet whatever happens to you. It's in the middle. So if our consciousness is a generally positive consciousness, then when the things that you see on the left there, like words from others or some type of event happens, or you get a sensation in your body, maybe diagnosis, you're going through a health challenge, whatever happens, when it comes through that lens of the consciousness, that will determine what happens on the other side. So are we going to have fear thoughts? Or are we going to have more spiritual, truth-aligned thoughts? Either way, it might be uncomfortable to go through a certain situation. But depending on the sum total of our consciousness, we can navigate it in a more healthy way if our conscious is more aligned with the truth that we know, and it's more aligned with positive thinking, than compared to what if our consciousness is on fear. And then as soon as, if my consciousness is a fear, this is what happens with me. If I'm in a fear state of consciousness and I have a health challenge, then somehow my brain goes out to find a vitamin or an herb, and I come back with, I'm dying. Like, I go out to the internet, and then I follow this line, and then I go down a rabbit hole, and I keep going, and I keep going, and then I have to stop myself and say, wait, where did I just go? Oh my gosh, because I had a consciousness at the time that was negative, and so it literally just wrung me down the rabbit hole. So today, that is what's creating all those tabs. So if we want to control the tabs and get back to something that feels more peaceful, then we need to learn how to watch our consciousness and build it consciously.
What's that Mary Morrissey says? Be the watcher at the portal of your mind. Be the watcher at the portal of your mind. And Sandy, I'm not sure if I'm jumping ahead here, but it reminds me, you and I have talked before, that your consciousness, okay, this is important, that what you think about, you bring about, right? You've heard that, right? So when you are aligned, your consciousness, you either work this and you'll have peace, or you don't work it and you'll experience chaos and overwhelm, like the SpongeBob was, right? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. So what I like to equate this to, going back to our tabs metaphor and back to the computer, think about social media use or YouTube. Maybe you don't do much on social media. Most people do something on YouTube. And think about putting something into there or clicking on a video. Once you type something in or you click on a video, what shows up in your feed? More of the same, right?
I'm going to just interrupt here and say this to all of you to listen to what she's saying, because I don't get this all the time. I'm looking at my Facebook post and I'm reading something and I've got that open for maybe a minute or two. It's already picked up that I like it, and I haven't even hit like. If I hit like, or if I hit unlike, it's going to give me whatever I like or dislike, because it's saying she's paying attention. These are algorithms. It's not a person out there doing this.
Yeah, it is kind of hard to see, but the next slide I kind of took was my YouTube feed, and so I could read it to you because it's really small. The first one says, "You're too worried." And then, "You are here in worry. You're stressed out and anxious." And then the next video says, "When you stop worrying, all will go well." Well, that sounds a little bit more positive, but I'm still kind of fixated on worry any way around it. So the mind works a lot like our social media on Facebook and YouTube. Whatever we engage with is what we get more of, because that's what we'll have more access to. So when we go onto social media and we like a cat video, we're gonna get more cat videos. It's been a couple months ago, I was telling Kathy, I fell down a different rabbit hole. This is the political rabbit hole, where a random video in my YouTube thread popped up. Actually, it wasn't even YouTube, it was my Google thread that feeds into my YouTube thread. Oh my gosh. But it all works in your mind the same way, right? It doesn't matter where the thought comes from. It's just like picking a thought, like a worry thought about politics, and all of these so-called experts who are saying that our country is going to be like not here anymore, like we are gonna fall, and that our financial systems are gonna fall. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, like this seems kind of extreme. But then the next video, there were different experts, and guess what? They said the same thing. And then guess what? There was another video, and those were different experts, and they said the same thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, does everybody think this? And it was because the computer had built its own consciousness, or its own algorithm is what they call it in tech, around what I was engaging with. Because every time I clicked a video to see if they thought the same thing, it was the same thing, it validated it, and it sent me more. Our brains are built the exact same way.
Right.
Tech people built their systems based on the way our brains default and work. So if worry thoughts are coming in and we engage with them in any way, even if we're trying to get rid of them sometimes, what do we get? More worry thoughts. And so to retrain it and to get rid of some of those tabs that are open, to get rid of some of those programs are running, we have to pretty much just be more conscious and more aware of that default setting. And in our brain, we call it negativity bias. And it's put there for a reason. And I'm grateful for it, because without it, I probably wouldn't be here today. Our brains have been taught from a long time ago to scan for things that could hurt us. Scan where I might be in danger so that I can pick it up and I can be watchful and make sure that I don't get hurt. That was built in when we were little furry things running around on 4 legs. And we still have that training today. And so I'm grateful that it got me to this point. And now I can use principles 3 and 4 to redo my feed. So you go to the next, and now I've got peace. So peace, even with a chaotic mind. Peace in any situation. Peace soaking instrumental. So, I put that in and I clicked on a video in peace, and this is what I got. I got more videos on peace. So basically, we're going back in order to do this. First of all, Kathy's favorite thing, this is not metaphysical malpractice. This is not, right, I've been thinking about worry, and now I'm getting worried, and then I'll never be out of worry. No, that's not what this is. This is, think about an ad or a video that pops up, just like a thought that pops up. Do you ever have like a thought? It's like, why did I have that thought? Cancel that thought. Oh my gosh. And then I should know better than this. I'm a positive thinker. Where did that come from? That's metaphysical malpractice. It's one. Remember, it's what we do repeatedly. And if we cannot engage with those thoughts when they come up, but just take them as happily flowing by, then we can know that that thought that popped up is just like an ad, an unwanted ad that pops up, and it only hurts you if you choose to click on it. It can only hurt your computer if you choose to click on it. So we disengage with it, and we're being inviting back into a practice of prayer and meditation.
This reminds me of the Israelites. That's another favorite story that I have. The Israelites, many of you know the story of the Israelites, right? They're escaping Egypt, and they are trying to go to the Promised Land. And I'll just do the visual because I cannot help but do the visual. This whole group of people spent 40 years going approximately 40 years, 250 to 300 miles. Going around in circles, that's what they did for 40 years. Metaphysically, this is our minds. We go around in circles trying to get ourselves back home, and only to just keep getting ramped up. Why do you think Moses kept going up to the mountain to talk to God, to try and figure out how to calm these people, thoughts down? Going up to the mountain is what principle 3 and 4 are about. That's about pay attention to the worry thoughts. We're consumed by worry. We're never going to make it. We're going to die here. We're in the wilderness, right? They're consumed. Moses goes up, gets advice, gets them all calming down again. Oh, but it's a matter of time before they're going around in circles again. And so it takes constant going back to home, back to source, and calming yourself down. Then they'd move a little forward, but here we go again, right? How many of us live like that? I lived a life of that. So there's power in this, Sandy. There's power in these principles.
And so we change the filter or the lens, the consciousness through which we experience. So when things come in, that things are processed differently, and then we can respond instead of reacting. So I heard it, you change the lens and not the landscape. Change the lens, not the landscape. And we return to a deeper truth in us. And so we'll go just a little bit farther than just the pause today. So we get the pause, we're gonna hit the pause and the pray today in 3, because principle 3 is the pause. It's the pause to think, right? It's the pause to notice what we've been thinking, and to be as non-judgmental as we can as we get into a deeper space of truth. And we can't get there unless we really center in.
Right.
We really center in. So remember, it's what we repeatedly choose. And this is the best thing for me, is guess what? You don't have to close every tab. You just got to go to your home screen. So think about that. I can have a million things running on the phone. All I need to do is hit home, and at least I have a pause to get a start. Same way on the computer. Because even though I didn't know I was going to use this quote, my favorite quote about overwhelm is, overwhelm simply means I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start. And so we start by going back to our center. And I don't know, are we going to do this next slide, or should I move on? That's it,
but yeah, let's just show it, because you'll relate to this. Anybody who, what was it? Serenity Now, George Costanza, or whatever his last name was, right? He's in the car because if you know this, what's the name of this show? Seinfeld. Right? He's always ramped up. Right? He's always George's dad. And so he's been listening to a psychologist tape, and he's like, that guy on the tape said, when you're stressed, say serenity now, but he's screaming to the top of his lungs. And I just think that's just a good one here.
Yeah, because we can pause and affirm and.
Right.
That means that the universe is not always listening to the words. Sometimes it's picking up on the feelings that we have. So
This is
centering.
no accident, Sandy.
It's not an
What
accident.
happened this morning?
We paused and had some fun.
We took a very stressful situation that you are not aware of, but that's a big deal. When you don't have microphones, you don't have a Facebook feed, you don't have YouTube. So I'm talking over there to Kath, who's volunteering, and she's trying to communicate with Facebook to keep them online. We're sorry. And Bobby, God love you. And Michael, thank you for stepping up to assist, to try and diagnose what was happening. It was very stressful. And at the same time, what did you all do? We went to home. We went to the home screen. That's what you did, was go to the home screen. And then, as a whole race consciousness here in this room, what did we do? Bam! That's how quick you can move from stress to, wow.
So let's talk about how we can put this into action. And I'm going to cover a little bit more of this next week. I'll be here to talk next week. I'm also doing a workshop after church next week on meditation and how to get to that center space a little bit more easily. And so if we go to the next slide, this is kind of just how I summed up the principles 3 and 4. So in principle 1, we're going to notice and pause. So we're going to notice what's running, what tabs are open, what's running in the background. You don't need to know where it is. You don't need to know how to shut it down. You just got to know what's running. Just notice what it is. And pause before feeling it to really know, to notice. It's kind of like, I'm a science teacher, the scientific method, the first step, you got to know what the problem is before you can go and do any kind of experiment. So then 4, prayer and meditation, is just returning to center and practicing truth. Returning to center and practicing truth. And so we're going to notice. I had an example of how I did this week. And it was a more action. And it's feelings. Remember, I'm telling you, I'm always about feelings.
I'm about task.
My tabs are always that. So it looked outwardly like it was action. But listen to some of the actions I did this week. I helped my mother redo the headstone for her pre-planning of her funeral. I pre-planned my funeral, and my husband pre-planned his. We finished our wills. I did healthcare power of attorney for my mother. I had a procedure. I had a colonoscopy after all that. I gave the stuff to my husband. I'm like, this doesn't mean anything. I'm doing all of these really heavy tasks, and there's a lot more. I made tons of phone calls, and I had 3 or 4 other doctor's appointments, and it was like one thing after another. And for me, what I felt was my mother, coming to terms with that she will be making her transition sooner than later. She's 87, and it becomes real when it's all on paper. It becomes real for my own transition when it's on paper. And then everything else just kind of going with it. My tabs open might have looked on the outside like I was just not having any downtime, but inside it was some fear and some grief and some unprocessed things, and it was all going. And so for me, in the noticing what was running, I really have to notice, number 1, it's not about what I'm doing.
First thing.
It's what I'm feeling. There's things going on in there that I need to process, and I need to stop and let this process. These are big, important things to face. And then, kind of like Kathy, I write it down, but in a different way. I identify the feelings, and I have an app on my phone. It's called All the Feels, Feelz. And when you go on there, I'm feeling kind of sad, I need to name it specifically. So when I look at sad, it says isolated, victimized, grief, ashamed, disappointed, empty, unimportant, embarrassed, remorseful, powerless, fragile, abandoned. It goes through all these different ways I can feel sadness or anger or just bad or angry. And I list them down, all of my feelings. If I can do it in my head, if I can't, get to a piece of paper. But if I can get to a piece of paper, I like to actually write it out. But if nothing else, I can click on it on the app, and it just notices them. What does this do? This takes it from my feeling brain into my thinking brain. So now I have control of my thoughts. It's like knowing what all the tabs are, and instead of letting all that stuff run in the background without me, just on its own, I've put myself into my thinking brain, and now I can use the power of thought, which is principle 3, to redirect where those thoughts are going and process them.
I'm just looking here, Sandy. I know we got to get. She's going to have so much more to share at that workshop next week. I'm really excited that she's willing to do that.
But do you see how that returned me to home?
It absolutely. There's all kinds of tools out there on the internet, on your phone, that there's no reason for us to stay in these states too long.
And if you're a feeling person, you don't need an app. You just need the feelings wheel. It's called Feelings Wheel. Look it up and print it out. Have somebody print it out for you. And it has all of the different feelings. It's very helpful. And I know Kathy, she lists down all of her to-dos.
Yep.
And that's how she not just pauses. That's not just a pause. That's a return to center. Because we haven't just stopped. We've put ourselves in our thinking brain. And now we can stop and wait for divine ideas. Can you imagine what divine ideas do to your feed of your social media? You're no longer getting what's out there automatically. You are getting divine sourced material in your YouTube, in your Facebook, in your head, like in your consciousness. It's coming through a pure source.
If you would not have, you unconsciously acknowledged that when I asked you to send energy. Otherwise, the energy would have been blocked. So the majority of this room was able to move to that very fast. What you don't know is that we had a situation this morning where Amy called me, our soloist, at 9 o'clock to say that her friend that she's staying with fell on a sidewalk, cracked her head, and she doesn't think she's going to be able to make it. Now, initially, I went to fear and flight, and I thought, oh, crap, I'm really sorry about the friend, but I'm like, in my mind, there goes the task, right? I got to call Yvette. What are we going to do? We got to see if Angie's coming and all this, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I just sat, after I hung up, I just sat. I said, get back to source. I mean, I don't even think about it. It's a natural thing for me to do now. Call Yvette. Within 10, 15 minutes, Amy calls and says, I've got somebody to come and sit with her. I'll be there. This is just the way your life will flow much better when you can identify those feelings and be the watcher of the portal of your mind to catch yourself when you're going down that negative rabbit hole that you talked about. Pay attention to what you're watching on your devices and how long you're spending time.
And that's how we rebuild our consciousness, right, in our brain. And don't forget the song. Once you decide to change your mind, God will show you how.
Me how.
So we don't need to know the how. We just need to get to the center. And the practice is that it will come. So I'd like to end today with a little story that goes back to your Dorothy.
Oh,
I found it.
I always love Dorothy's stories.
Because it goes back to Dorothy. And it says, Dorothy spent her whole journey trying to get home. She faced danger and confusion. She was afraid. She had some really strange companions and a few people that were not at all helpful. And at the end, she discovered something surprising. The way home had been with her all along. That does not mean that the journey was wasted. She had to grow into that knowing. She had to discover courage, love, wisdom, and heart for herself along the way. And maybe that's true for all of us too. Prayer and meditation do not give us something outside of us. They help us remember the way home that has always been with us all along.
Do we give them a namaste?
Yeah.
You take that side, I'll take this side. Namaste. Namaste. The Christ in me. That home, that place of home in me, truly sees and honors that place of home in each and every one of you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste, Sandy. Thank you. Yes.